welcome to At the Bar for Mining Clips. My name is Kelly Earle. I'm the VP of Communications for Skeena Resources, and I am joined by Brent with Exploration Insights and Mickey Fulp, the mercenary geologist.
That I am, and we're here at my neighborhood bar in Vancouver called Preston's, and I got neighborhood discount every hour that this bar is open, happy hour for me at all times. So anybody ever want to join me here, you know where to come.
So is that your sleeping bag over there?
Geez, I hadn't noticed that. Usually I just sleep on the bar under newspapers.
Okay.
So thank you very much for asking me to host and for joining me both. And when I was thinking about what we wanted to talk about today, as a geologist who works in the investor relations and corporate development side of the industry, we're always interested in getting newsletter writers to cover our companies, right? Every company wants a newsletter writer to be interested, come to their projects and know about the story. So my question for you two both is, I want to know about timing. When is the right time for an IR representative, a corporate communications representative, to come to you with their company story? Because I know you guys must get bombarded.
For me, and I suspect Mickey the same, we want to be in as early as possible. But it's got to be a legitimate idea. It can't be this, whatever. But if you've got soil samples that are showing something that you can relate to a target that has some size potential, I want to see the soil samples, and I want to get on site and see it as early as possible, because that's what I've done my whole life is exploration. So I would say as early as possible. But what a lot of the people that present this stuff don't understand is they don't understand what they're looking for. They don't understand the project. You've got an advantage. You're a geologist. That puts you way up in terms of speaking to someone like Mickey and I. Because we can say, well, is this a porphyry? Is it potassic altered? Yada, yada, yada. So that to me is as equally as important as getting in early.
Okay.
Early.
Yep.
Absolutely early. The stories I want to see, especially at this stage of a market where we're coming out of a long bear market, and what I think we'll agree is an incipient bull market for commodities. I want to see the deals early, and that gives me an advantage and my subscribers an advantage, because oftentimes, as Brent says, if it's a good story, I'll go in very early on the story with the right people and the right projects. And soil anomalies or mapping a target concept. Here's an example. I just went into a new play in the Yukon, completely grassroots play, but with the right people, a new company last fall, based solely on soil samples and trenches. Mm-hmm. So in the Yukon, as you well know, we've all worked in the Yukon or been in the Yukon enough to know that the soil samples taken to bedrock are indicative of what's underneath. You put a trench on that soil anomaly, you're pretty well assured your first drill holes underneath that trench, and those soil samples are going to hit. And if we get in early, that's what you want to do for your subscribers.
Okay, so what about brand new companies with maybe that aren't even listed yet? Would you consider getting involved in pre-IPO companies?
Pre-IPO, I rarely do, because maybe Mickey's got it wired better than I do, but I'm a U.S. resident, and it has been such a hassle for me to go from a private company or even doing private placements with all the, we go through, the firm goes to RBC, and they ask the most idiotic things, and it takes, 2, 4, 5, 6 weeks to get a legend removed, and all that stuff. So I generally don't do that unless it's someone I know really well, and it's something I think has long-term potential.
Okay.
No, I'll agree with that take, and I do this commonly. I probably over the last year I have been involved with 4 or 5 private companies that eventually went public. Now, one of those is a uranium deal. I started putting money in 7 years ago, and it went public 2 weeks ago. But we were rewarded despite that long wait. But as an American right now, I'm waiting while Canadians are able to trade the stock. I'm waiting for 4 or 5 weeks, 3 to 5 weeks for that legend to be removed before I can take my money off the table. Now this won't have staying power, and I'm confident I'll get my money off the table quickly. But that's really, I think, what the game we play. It's a very high-risk game. For me, there are very few buys and holds. Really good companies, I'll have a trading position, kind of a long-term position. But really, it's about when stocks double, we sell half. Take all our money off the table and go do it again. And then you still have that upside to play with. That's the model I've run successfully for 25 years.
Okay. So, in the same fashion, when do you not want to hear from IR people? What are things, what are red flags? What are things you want to stay away from?
After the stock's already run up.
Yeah,
I don't really need to see a deal that's run from 15 cents or 25 cents and they come into me and they've just completed a private placement. They come into me and say, hey, cover our company now. Look at us. We're trading at 75 cents. Well, why didn't you put me in the private placement at 20?
Well, I can tell you from experience, sometimes it's hard to get attention from newsletter writers until the share price has run a bit.
I'm a contrarian. I'm not that guy. I really am not that guy.
Yes, I'm not a contrarian per se. I'm more of a realist.
Yes.
If you've got a stock that's gone from 25 cents to 75 cents and there's a reason, I'm interested.
Yep.
That's what I'm looking for. Something that has found something. When not to come is when you don't have anything. When you've got, or it's a stupid story, or your share structure's blown out, or
so share
that
structure
sort of
we hear again and again.
That's key. That's key.
Yeah. So share structure is the reason that I'm not doing many taking positions in deals that have been around a long time, because most generally the share structure's blown out. They're either rollbacks waiting to happen or they have very low prices, because really it's all about market cap. So the more there's a limit, a peer valuation market cap limit to most of these juniors. You've got a lot of shares out. There's a little upside for that share price in terms of doubles or triples.
So are you a fan of restructuring? If a junior is going in a new direction, they've been around for a while, they have new ideas, maybe a new project. Fan of restructuring?
Sure.
Start again.
Yep. Unless I'm a legacy shareholder, and then that becomes a tax loss sale for me, and I have plenty of those. And the beauty of it is, with a long bear market, the beauty of a long bear market is you've got so many things you're underwater on because they roll back. Those become tax loss sales at the end of the year to burn off your profits as the bear market comes on.
Yep.
It's not an ideal situation, but at least it keeps you from paying taxes to the Canadian or
But
American
I mean, you would
government.
agree it's the nature of our industry. You could have a good team and not every project they go after could be a win. They could have a great idea and they could need a chance to start again. Yeah.
Sure, I mean, that happens. This is a risky business.
Yeah.
But so what?
Well, if you're
ultimately, it's about making money off the share price.
Right.
And ideally off of a legitimate discovery that a major buys. That's the ideal situation. It's rare, but that's where I made most of my money.
I've made most of my money by being a contrarian and getting into stocks that are unknown, unloved, undervalued, unwanted. In this market, it's unknown. There's lots of unknown stories out there. So I walked around the conference today and I looked at all these companies and I know all of them, and didn't really see anything that immediately piqued my interest. And that contrasts with some other shows where perhaps the quality of the companies overall is less, but you're likely to run into a new deal that no one has paid much attention to.
So how do you find brand new companies that no one has heard of? How do you find the next big hot thing? How do you source new companies.
I go through the news every day.
Yep.
Talk to people. Shows like this and other shows. Anyway. Someone pulls some interesting samples out of Australia. What the hell is this? We'll look at it. In fact, I'm off to Australia on Saturday.
You were saying.
I was just out of Japan 2 weeks ago looking at epithermal deposits in Japan. That's new. That's pretty cool.
But it's not new. Those mines, those epithermal vein mines, the model for epithermal deposits was partially developed in Japan. There may be new plays coming out, and it's certainly new for the North American capital markets.
Yeah, in Japan. I mean, these things were shut down in 1943 for the war effort, and really haven't been looked at since. And now it's all overgrown with bamboo grass and this sort of thing. But so you're walking up on prospects you never see in Nevada that haven't been drilled. That was interesting. I mean, and it's a complicated area to work on. There's cultural issues, yada, yada, yada. But in terms of interesting ideas, that was pretty good. I like that. I mean, that's what we live for, really, is go someplace new and see something no one else has seen.
So there's my next question. What jurisdictions or part of the world do you see some of the next big discoveries coming up in?
Really the same as all the previous big ones.
Really?
But they're going to be undercover for the most part. So the new frontier, if you will, it's not that new, but the frontier is undercover. It's chasing ideas undercover, and that's going to take geophysics. You're going to look at alteration rims.
So is that new technology that's going to lead the way into finding more undercover?
They help, but ultimately, I think Mickey will agree with this, and you will too. It comes down to the geologist, his eyes, what's in his brain, conceptualizing what happened millions to hundreds of millions of years ago.
4 dimensions.
Yes.
Yeah.
The art of geology is thinking in 4 dimensions, not 3, and this comes back to your idea of timing.
Yes.
The areas I'm involved with right now, 2 significantly undercover. Finland, northern Finland.
Yep.
That's a greenstone belt that has never been explored in any way, shape, or form until recently
and
for gold.
specifically not for gold. It's unbelievable how untouched it is for gold.
And that's basically from the Arctic Circle to the top of Finland. And the other area I'm involved with right now, undercover, would be Ireland. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of outcrop and new techniques for finding zinc deposits. Seismic, and they're figuring out the structure with seismic, and that's never been done before. And there's already been a world-class discovery found off the end of Terra, which is the 100 million ton zinc lead ore body there. So the new discovery is 3 times as thick, and richer.
So same jurisdictions, but looking at them in a new light with your geologists.
Yeah, really.
And geopolitical risk is reared its ugly head once again. So it's forcing me to focus more on stable jurisdictions, not going very far, afar, whatever I'm trying to say here. It rears its ugly head in some of the weirdest places, unexpected places.
Yeah. All right. So, Mickey made a suggestion early on before we got going here. What about field camps, spending time in bush camps? You all spend a lot of time in the bush camps.
Yes.
Mickey and I more than you because you're such a young lady.
Yeah, I got out early.
Where did you spend your time? Did you spend much time in the bush?
The Yukon, northern British Columbia, northern Ontario. Spent some time in Mongolia, which is where I went fishing, which we've talked about before. But the Yukon is where I did most of my field work.
Really?
Yes. So we were talking about what do you do?
What toys do you?
What do you do to kill time when you're in
What are
field
your
camp?
toys that you pack in your bags when you go to a remote bush camp for an extended period of time?
So one of my favorite things to bring actually is comic books, Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh, I love Calvin Hobbes.
There's nothing like the end of a long day and you've been logging core and you just need to turn your brain off. And so
That's a good one.
Calvin and Hobbes is a good one. And then in the Yukon, we were lucky in that we had a great carpenter and he built us a sauna beside the river. So we killed a lot of time in the sauna. So how about you?
You know, I don't recall having much spare time. We work all day,
That's true.
come home, compile our maps, do the stuff, you know, cook dinner, and sit around and talk a lot. I spent a lot of time in the bush in Papua New Guinea and Australia, and that's what we do. And you know, and then it gets dark, and then you're up at dawn.
Yep.
You know? So I didn't, you know, I wish there was more fun things to do. But now I think the problem now is everyone's got to be connected. And I go to camps now, and after dinner, everyone's in their room or whatever.
Email.
On their, you know, where it used to be after dinner, you'd sit around and talk, and you'd talk about geology. Like, what did you see? What do you think's going on? And you know, we're losing it.
So when I worked in the field, believe it or not, we still had very limited internet. So I did the same thing, and you're right, I would miss that. Going back to your dorm just to email and continue working is not quite as social, which is too bad.
Yeah.
And you, toys?
Well, so, you know, I tend to become addicted to whatever sport I'm playing at the time. So at various times in my career, I have had a set of golf clubs and used to go up to the top of a mountain and hit golf balls off the tops of mountains. I generally have a fishing pole.
Yes.
And I very much favor jobs in the bush that are close to streams that I can catch trout or grayling or whatever.
Makes sense.
And I also played baseball in Mexico in the wintertime for a period of time. So I would never go to Mexico in the winter without my baseball gear.
Good. Well, I want to thank you both for joining me and allowing me to host.
Thanks
this,
for coming. We actually enjoyed having you with us.
Wonderful.
Thanks.
Yes.
Good
So-
to have
Cheers.
a host of At the Bar who is not only a smart IR person, but is a geologist beside.
Indeed.
My pleasure to be here. Thank
Thank
you.
you.